Hello, everyone. Welcome to Developing Palates. I am Aaron Loomis coming to you from the Drew Estate Studio. With me today is Jiunn, Seth, guys, John McTavish. How you guys doing?
No, I'd rather be doing review recaps than watching doubleheader Monday Night Football. What are you talking about?
Of course.
Go Jets.
All right. So today we are talking about the
Ouch.
JC Newman Yagua. This cigar is a Toro Extra 6x54. Comes out of the JC Newman Pinza factory in Nicaragua. Wrapper is Connecticut Broadleaf, binder filler both from Nicaragua. Price point is $7.50, and the cigar was released in August of 2020. So with all that out of the way, June, what was your overall experience like with this cigar?
You know, um, in retrospect, I think it's fitting, right? So like, this is one of those cigars, less the size. The size is cool, right? But you look at the broadleaf wrapper, you look at it, you're like, man, this is like this doesn't look like very good quality broadleaf wrapper. It's all knotted up and you know, uh, kind of sandy to the touch, and it's just not that much of a bunch of like veins protruding, right? So in terms of the look of the actual cigar, I thought it was kind of lackluster, average. And then going into the smoking part of it, I thought there was a ton of subtleties. You know, when I think about a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper, subtleties should be the last, word that I should use. But I felt like this was super subtle, like some very light red pepper, nuts, baking spices. Retrohaling was by far the best part because, as typical, when you retrohale, all the flavors kind of, elevates up. So it's the same flavors I just talked about, but it was fuller, which was nice. Very short finish, cedary, baking spices, medium body, medium strength the whole time. It was very average and disappointingly light in flavors.
All right, Seth, what were your overall thoughts?
Listen, the core flavor profile I thought of was just like earth, pepper, some cocoa, but there were some pretty funky profiles. I got like this coconut porter quality early on, then I was getting some Whoppers candy. I got some mocha. I was tripping. No. So I mean it had some like highlights, but at the same time there was kind of this blandness to it. I mean we can talk about how the cigar thing and so forth. So I mean it was just medium body strength, kind of decent flavors beginning to end.
All right, John, what were your thoughts?
I'm out on an island tonight, boys. I thought this is a pretty solid representation of what broadleaf is, and for good or for bad, I just don't think there's been a lot of great broadleaf offerings this year. It said leather and baking spices to kick off, and then it took a sharp left-hand turn, like 20 minutes in, and became, like Jiunn was talking about, just really soft, creamy, nuanced, which is not usually words I typically would describe for broadleaf. There was still some baking spices and earth note in there, but they were more accent. And then I got tropical citrus, so maybe that's what Seth was talking about at the 30-minute mark, just kind of bam out of nowhere. And then, second, third was kind of creamy cedar, baking spices, a little bit of astringent citrus, so kind of got that like orange rind character. And then I would say the complexity kind of waned at the end of the second, third, and the last third was just kind of pretty sedate. It was sweet leather, little bit of citrus, but it wasn't particularly keeping me engaged. That really doesn't tell the story of the cigar. The story of the cigar is the fact that it did not want to stay burning for me, and that was with me. And it's one of those experiences, and I'm sure we've all had them, where you're puffing on a cigar and you can tell the cigar just really, really, really wants to go out. This is one of those cigars. I had 4 relights, and we can get into it later, but I feel like most people right around the second or third relight, there's a pretty good chance they're just going to toss the cigar, because at that point, what is the point of smoking? Curiously, it didn't seem to affect the flavor profile, which blows my mind. But Aaron, why don't you walk us through your flavor and cigar review experience?
Yeah, for me, the cigar had a nice start. It was a good combination of flavors going on, but some of those flavors started dropping out in the second, third. So we came fairly average, kind of maintained that level the rest of the way. When these cigars arrived and I unpacked them, it was easy to tell that they were super wet. Like you could just smell how damp kind of they were. It was like a syrupy sweetness to them and all that. But waited 30 days before lighting this thing up, and I think giving them some even more time. I'd be interested to kind of revisit that and see what differences that may bring to the cigar. But I think we're going to talk about it a little bit later about how they're bundled and all that stuff. But it's not really something that's piqued my interest. I do think I'll go back to it, maybe another 30, 60 days just to kind of get a feel for it. But from this experience, it really didn't do anything for me. So getting the score straight at the top with John at 5.92. I was next at 5.50. Seth gave it a 5.35, and Jiunn gave it a 5.30. So John, how'd that 5.92 match up for you?
Yeah, so I mean, the story here is the flavor profile should have taken this into the low to mid sixes, but really, really poor burn performance is what held it back.
Yeah, my 5.5 matches up well. I mean, it was slightly above average flavor profile, but yeah, construction was a challenge. I mean, some burn issues, snug draw. We'll talk about it in a minute. But all right, Seth, 5.35.
Yeah, I mean, you guys talked about burn and draw. Kind of same thing about flavors. So, I mean, it's like, would I smoke it again? Yeah. Am I excited for it? No. Like, would I buy one? Yeah, but I don't know why I would, but I would. And then you're like, shit, what the hell did I do?
Gotta support those farmers in Connecticut. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That's right.
All right, Jiunn, 5.30.
I agree, Seth. I would, if I see this on the shelf, I'm like, oh, JC Newman, these guys, they're nice chaps, right? They seem like stand-up good people, so I would buy one. But for some reason, when I think about JC Newman as a brand in general, though, I think about like really rich American tobacco history and like good dudes. You know what I mean? So like naturally, if I see JC Newman, I am good. I'll be very interested to at least try it. But then again, with this cigar, it's like, what do I want to try? I don't want to try it again. Got plenty more left, so I will smoke some or give it the jaw. But it was average, and it was a bit of a letdown. I know we're going to talk about burn, but man, like, I'll bring this up later after we talk about burn or something. Actually,
we'll talk about it now. So I mean, these come bundled and tightly wrapped in a palm bark or whatever like that. So like they're put together wet, so they they're just packed in there tight. So it's not like you're getting like this gentle box press to it or anything like that. Like every cigar has its own unique shape because they were like packed in there tight, wet, and that's just what you get. So in my opinion, okay, it's unique. Yeah, you could see what Seth's got going on there.
This is like the perfect one I had. It's like this great hexagon, but then of course it's been on my computer desk for about like a week now. So
you know what? I bet you it smokes perfect now. And he's like dry boxing like that.
Yeah.
But you're gonna get inconsistencies in the draw for sure. The burn, I don't. Sure. You don't know what's gonna happen, but you're gonna definitely get inconsistencies in the draw. And I think if you get into these, you have to just determine, do I have to, is that a detriment to this cigar, or is it like a kitschy kind of uniqueness that you want in your smoking experience? And for me, I want to know that it's going to draw right. And I don't want to say, oh, I wonder what challenge I'm going to run into today when I smoke it. Like, that's not what I'm going to go into this cigar for. So,
what did you think that they would have smoked a shit ton of these for quality control and unanimously be like, God, this burns like shit?
Well, man, I don't know if you remember. Well,
I think that the story itself is enough to sell to a lot of cigar smokers.
Yeah.
Not us, but it's going to sell to a lot of cigar smokers.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, but to Aaron's point, I mean, you're going to get people who are going to buy it once. But the average cigar smoker has a burn performance like I did, they might even ask for their money back. Like a lot of guys would actually ask for their money back if they had to relight it that many times. So you really can't. I mean, you can have a tight draw, you can have a snug draw, but you really can't have a cigar that's not going to burn. Like that's not going to fly.
Maybe it's something to just buy a box of, just so you can see it.
Maybe.
No, it's a cool package though. It's super cool. Like the shape and everything. Like what is it? This is considered. Isn't Alec Bradley coming out with like diamond shaped cigar, right?
Well, they've
This is
they've
like
released
They've
it
had
before.
that before.
Yeah,
they've
But
had
that
that.
draws.
Okay.
yeah,
That draws.
yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
so like, you know, when I saw the news about, for instance, that Alec Bradley one, and same with this Yagua, right? Like it's just that shape and the packaging is super cool.
Remember, maybe you have to cut these a particular way. Remember with the diamond one, Alec Bradley told you like the perfect way to cut the cigar is like there's a couple ways, and that's what makes it smoke better.
Listen,
Maybe.
man, everybody knows a V cut's the only way to cut a cigar, and if your cigar can't draw on a V cut, you don't know what you're doing.
Did he get that V cut yet, Aaron? Did he get that V cutter yet?
I haven't shipped it up yet. I'm debating whether or not it'll make it through customs, but
It'll be fine. No, I'm with Aaron on the. I got a couple of these, and I think I'm going to give the next one another 30 days, maybe even 45 days, because I've got it controlled at about 65, 66, and see if it smokes better. Because I mean, you got to think that many relights, it's got to affect the flavors.
oh yeah,
It's got to.
Listen, I didn't know that Aaron had these, so I bought some. And then when I was sending cigars to you guys that you guys needed to smoke, I had so many of these lying around because I bought some too. I was like, you know what? I'm sending them to them.
Just got like random
So there's
Yaguas in the
potential-
bookshelf.
There's a
and
potential
Yaguas in
that
the
like you're going to
bathroom.
get one that went from Florida to California to North Carolina, back to California, up to Canada. It's going to
There you
smoke
go.
great.
This is Yagua life, man. That's just
Yeah,
how
it's
you,
just
that's how you
bingo.
do.
Let's just keep passing it around to people.
right.
But
little
don't you
stamp on
think,
it.
like, so John, I know you like the flavor profile, and
Mhm.
you know, I've heard you talk about how this tastes like old school
Old school
broadleaf,
broadleaf.
right?
It's an old school smoke.
Okay, so when I think something that's old school, I also think like your Connecticut shades of the Macanudos, right? Like your grandfather's cigars.
Yep.
Yeah.
So oftentimes I basically translate it to very subtle, very smooth, very low
100%.
strength, right?
100%.
Okay. Whereas
and
I think about maybe I'm, me being, I guess, the modern age cigar smoker. When I think about Connecticut broadleaf, I go straight to like some of the stuff that like Saka does, right? Where it's like chewy, viscous, really full flavors of chocolate. You know what I mean?
Very
Like
spicy, very heavy on the
spicy.
palate. You got
Yeah.
yeah. So and that's like I think that's the division between sort of quote unquote new school broadleaf and old school broadleaf is old school broadleaf used to be, really creamy and sweet, and like it didn't have this. It wasn't a pepper bomb. It didn't like dominate your palate like somebody took a dump truck and put 15 pounds of dirt on the center of your tongue. It was, and so that's why like it almost started out that way, and then I was like, okay, well, here we go, and then it was just like boom, and the switch got thrown, and it was like you're back 25 years ago, and I was like, oh, this is quite pleasant down memory lane, like
Jiunn,
like
have you
I
ever
was
smoked-
smoking 25 years ago.
Jiunn, have you ever smoked an Ashton aged Maduro?
Ashton. Yeah, I have.
That's a killer. That's a killer.
Yeah,
analogy.
There's an old classic broadleaf right there. Pete,
Yeah.
even listen, Tatuaje, he has some old school
J21s.
broadleaf. Yeah, I mean, even like the Casita Criollo for a
I think it's
while
J21s.
was.
yeah. I think this might have been a function of like, reading the makeup of the cigar, right? Because I think I relay so much of Connecticut broadleaf to what I just talked about, that I felt like when it's so off the charts from that, I kind of translate it as like kind of lightened flavors. But I could totally see that, right? Like, I totally understand, within especially like Cuban cigars, right? Like you have stuff that's like 20 years old, but it's an amazing, unique experience, but it is very smooth and light. Whereas something like this, I could also understand people that will appreciate the softer side of broadleaf. I just apparently didn't think that. So,
Jiunn, you know this Nicaraguan tobacco is Aganorsa tobacco, right?
huh?
Yeah, this is all Aganorsa tobacco. Smoke it again.
Yago is?
Yeah.
Even the
Oh.
Candela.
No, I'm just kidding. But it would have been
I was like,
hysterical. if Jiunn did it. He's
fuck?
like, I can taste it. I love it.
I was
7-0.
I knew this was Kalapa Corojo 99.
I knew this. I could taste that sweetness.
I think Dion blended it now.
John, I think you're right, though. I do. I think this can. I mean, they may be older now, but I think a lot of the Newman smokers are probably older guys that I think this would do well for them just because it's that old school broadleaf.
Yeah, it was the J21 that I was thinking of because I haven't smoked my J21s in a long time, but they're just really, really sweet and creamy, medium bodied, like just a really nice casual smoke on a Monday night if you're watching football or whatever.
Yeah.
As some people are. Not us.
All
It's
right,
a
with that
commercial
said,
right now, that's why.
if you're just catching this video on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to us. But also check out the full written review on the website, developmentpalace.com. Follow us on all the social media channels, and you can catch all of our review recaps on podcasts. So iTunes, Google Play, and Podbean. Thank you for tuning in. We will catch you on the next one.